Room 614 never made a sound. The kind of silence that settled like dust, soft, steady, and too familiar. Pale light filtered through thin curtains and cast long, tired shadows over the crisp white bedsheets. In the center of the room lay a man, unmoving. His name was Garrett Dorsey, 38 years old, co-founder of a nationwide private health corporation based out of New England. 4 weeks ago, his car had skidded off a rain-slick highway curve just past midnight. He survived, but he was brought here unresponsive, classified as minimally conscious, with nonverbal function. The official diagnosis, temporary vegetative state. But in truth, Garrett had woken up 3 days after the accident, fully aware, entirely present. He simply could not move. No speech, no gestures, not even the flicker of an eyelid. His body had become a cage, soundproof, weightless, and brutally efficient. And so, he listened. He listened to the rustle of charts, to the antiseptic hush of the hallway, and more than once, he listened to the voices just outside his door, the ones that didn't know he was listening. We need to act before he regains full function. As co-founder, I'm entitled to initiate restructuring, legally. That voice belonged to Russell Vance, a man Garrett once trusted like a brother. Now, each word from him carried something cold underneath, like oil over water. Garrett wanted to scream, but his lungs refused the command. So he waited, listening, remembering, surviving. Eden Callahan had never liked hospitals. She told herself this 100 times during nursing school, too sterile, too controlled, too filled with breath that might not last until morning. But there was something in the stillness of rooms like this, something she couldn't walk away from. When Eden was assigned to monitor Garrett Dorsey, she didn't think much of it, just another private case. A corporate figurehead with no close family, no daily visitors, and a medical file that felt too brief for a man with his name. The first few days passed without incident, vitals steady, chart updates dull. But then came the moments in between. She noticed how his reflexes subtle, buried deep, sometimes lingered when they should not. His pupils responded slightly faster than expected. His pulse changed ever so slightly when someone entered the room. She didn't say anything at first. You didn't last in this profession by overreacting. But on the 8th day, while checking his IV line, his index finger twitched. Eden blinked, froze, then waited. Nothing. The next day, it happened again, a little stronger this time. She said nothing to the attending physician. She logged the usual results. But that night, she brought her own notebook and started a second chart, one the hospital wouldn't see. A chart that asked questions no one else dared write down. Eden didn't rush anything. She wasn't new to false hope, and she had seen enough involuntary reflexes to know when the body moved without the mind. But this was different. On the 10th night, she stood beside Garrett's bed longer than usual. The floor was quiet, the lights dimmed. She leaned in, speaking low. "Garrett," she whispered, testing the air between them. "If you can hear me, I need you to try." She waited. No answer. She reached for his hand, placed 2 fingers over his palm. "I'm gonna press once. If you understand, try to move." She tapped once. Seconds passed. Then a tiny movement. Faint, but deliberate. A slow tightening of his finger against her skin. Eden's heart caught in her chest. Again, she waited, just to be sure. This time, she asked, "One press for yes, nothing for no. Okay?" Another movement. Clearer now. Intentional. She exhaled softly, nearly laughing in disbelief. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." She didn't celebrate, didn't cry, just sat beside him in the silence, her pulse racing, her mind already sketching a plan. Garrett, somewhere deep within himself, clung to the edge of his own body. And she wasn't about to let go. Over the next few days, Eden adjusted her schedule. She came in earlier, stayed later, took fewer breaks. At night, when the staff rotated and the hallways fell into hush, she pulled the curtain around his bed and resumed their silent code. One twitch for yes, stillness for no. A double tap meant slow down. It wasn't much, but it was enough. She started with small questions. Are you in pain? Do you remember the accident? Do you know where you are? Each time his finger answered. Then, one evening, after the last rounds had been filed and the noise had faded, she asked something harder. Do you trust the people who visit you? The pause was long. Then one faint movement. No. She nodded slowly, heart heavy. Is it Russell? Yes. And someone else? Yes. Do they know you're awake? Another yes. She gripped the edge of her chair. Then we have a problem. Garrett did not move, but the monitor beeped just a touch faster, as if to say he already knew. That night, Eden sat in her car an hour past the end of her shift, staring at the steering wheel. She had stumbled into something that wasn't just medical. This was a man locked inside his own body, while people outside plotted to erase him, and the only person who knew the truth was a night nurse no one noticed. Eden looked up at the dark sky and whispered the only promise she could make. I'm not going to let them take you apart. Eden began keeping 2 logs. One sat neatly in the electronic system vitals, meds, charted notes, nothing unusual. The other lived in her backpack, handwritten in a thin leather journal. She recorded everything, the patterns of Garrett's responses, the timing, the questions he understood, the ones he didn't. Every twitch became a line of communication. Every breath meant something. She borrowed a basic letterboard from her time in neural rehab, the kind families use for locked-in patients. Slowly, carefully, she started going letter by letter. It was a slow crawl through the alphabet, but Garrett pushed through, tapping faintly when she hovered over the right letter. The first full word they spelled together, Liston. She smiled when she finished decoding it. I'm listening, she said. You have me. Later that week, Eden overheard something in the hallway. Russell was speaking to a woman in a tailored gray suit, legal, cold, professional. It's just paperwork, he was saying. If he doesn't regain function in 3 weeks, the board will initiate transition. He won't be in the way. Eden didn't make a sound. She stood behind a corner, fists clenched, the sound of Garrett's breathing echoing in her ears, even from down the hall. They weren't waiting for his recovery. They were counting on his silence. The next night, Eden leaned close to Garrett's bed. I need to ask something, she whispered. Do you remember what caused the crash? A pause. Then a yes. Was it mechanical failure? No. Was someone else involved? Yes. She steadied herself. Was it intentional? Yes. Her breath caught. For a moment, the room felt colder. Did Russell have something to do with it? Yes. And now he's trying to take control of the company? Yes. Garrett, she said softly, do you have someone you trust? Outside the hospital? Yes. Can you give me a name? They started slowly, one letter at a time. It took 20 minutes. But eventually, she wrote it out. Milangraver. Eden had never heard the name, but she didn't need to understand. She just needed to believe. I'll find him, she said, but I need time. I need to be careful. We can't raise suspicion too fast. Garrett's hand moved again. A slow tap. A new word. Hurry. Eden didn't go through official channels. She couldn't. Her badge gave her access to medical wings, not the boardroom. So she did. The only thing she could, she searched quietly. Late one night, in the hospital lounge, she pulled out her laptop and searched the name Milangraver. There were few results. A former corporate attorney, retired early, known for walking out of a high-profile merger citing ethical discomfort. Eden scanned until she found an old interview clip. The voice was steady, calm, a man who knew more than he ever said out loud. She wrote an email. Short, coded, respectful. I am caring for someone you once trusted. He cannot speak, but he remembers everything. There are people working against him. I believe he named you for a reason. Please respond if it is safe to do so. E. C. She waited. For 2 days. Nothing. Then, just before dawn on the 3rd morning, her phone buzzed. One new message. I'm listening. MG. She exhaled into the silence of the nurse's break room. Then she glanced at the time. It was 5:42 a.m. The sun hadn't come up yet, but something had shifted. They needed more than truth. They needed proof. Eden returned to Garrett that evening, closed the door gently, and leaned close. "I found him," she said. He responded. There was a pause, then a single twitch. Relief. "But it's not enough to say what we know," she added. "We need them in their own words." Garrett's eyes remained still, but the heart monitor ticked faster. Agreement. That night, Eden borrowed a discreet audio recorder from a security tech she trusted. No questions asked. She hid the recorder in a linen cabinet near the private conference room on the 6th floor, the room where Russell and his counsel met frequently. She placed it, left it running, and walked away. 2 nights later, she retrieved it and listened in her car. It was rough audio, muffled by walls and linen sheets, but the voices were clear enough. "Russell, as long as he's unresponsive, we can make every move we want. We control the narrative. Unknown woman. And if he wakes up, Russell, he won't. Not if the medication stays where it is." Eden closed her eyes. She didn't cry. Not yet. She saved the audio 3 times, phone, USB, cloud, then brought it to Garrett's bedside. She played it for him through a small speaker. When it ended, she asked one question. "Are you ready?" Garrett's finger curled. Yes. Eden didn't sleep that night. By morning, she had emailed the audio file and a written summary of Garrett's condition to Milan Graver, along with her own full name. She expected silence, or delay, or worse, a warning. But Milan replied within 2 hours. "I'll be there by noon. Don't let him be alone." Eden read the message 3 times before moving. She changed her scrubs, pulled her hair back tighter, and walked into room 614 just after 10 a.m. Garrett lay still, but she saw something different in him now. Not just awareness, but a kind of quiet waiting, a strength she hadn't noticed when this began. She sat beside him, fingers wrapped gently around his. "We're not alone anymore," she said. At 12:04, Milan Graver walked through the private elevator doors. He wore no tie, carried no briefcase, but his eyes were sharp. He said little, just asked to speak with the hospital director, then the legal department, then the board. By 2:00 p.m., the medication plan had been frozen. By 3:30, Russell Vance was escorted from the building. That evening, Eden stood in the hallway, watching nurses walk past like nothing had happened. The sun was setting beyond the hospital windows, casting everything in soft gray. Inside room 614, Garrett blinked once, then again for the first time in full presence. And Eden smiled. "You came back," she whispered. He blinked again. "Yes." 2 weeks passed. Garrett regained partial speech. Not much. Just words shaped slowly, each one spoken like it mattered. Eden remained by his side. One afternoon, she brought a small letterboard again, not because he needed it, but because they had started there. He spelled out a question. "Did you ever think of leaving?" She hesitated. "Yes," she admitted. "Why stay?" Eden didn't answer right away. She looked down at his hand, pale but steady now. "Because you didn't deserve to be left." Garrett nodded slowly. Then he looked out the window. "Do you think it's possible," he rasped, "to build something real after all this?" She met his eyes. "I think that's the only thing worth building." Months later, when he was strong enough to walk again, they stepped outside together just once, to the garden near the east wing. The sky was soft and overcast. No reporters, no statements. Just wind and breath and something like peace. Garrett turned to her. "You saved my life." Eden shook her head. "No, I just listened." He smiled, not with triumph, but with something quieter. "That was enough."